What up, guys? So let me ask you a question. What do you do if you put your training partner in a fully sunken heel hook? You get it locked in, you're applying pressure, you're waiting for the tap, but your partner never taps. What do you do then? I'm asking that because that's today's question. Comes from RK Chin, one of you guys on the YouTube channel commented. He said, Chewy, what do you do against guys who don't tap out? I've gotten heel hooks on multiple guys in the gym and they don't tap out, and I let go because I don't want to injure them. But I'm afraid that these guys are going to think that, you know, their defense is fine and that they go to a competition, they don't tap out and they get injured. And so he's looking for some ideas to do on what to do when you have someone that doesn't tap out. So, brother, thank you for the question. So I have a guy in my gym who he's a young guy, Hayden. And if you're Hayden, you're watching this. Stupid ankles. I don't know what his ankles, why they operate the way they do, but they do. And I remember a couple years ago, actually it wasn't about a year and a half ago, I'm trying to put on an ankle lock on him, just a straight ankle lock. And it's sunk in there. And I'm putting some muscle into it and he's not tapping. So then I switched to a heel hook and same thing. And I eventually got kind of frustrated. I said, bro, I'm not going to break your ankle. And he said, oh, you don't have to worry. You're not going to break it. It's not there yet. But what are you talking about? It felt like it was there. And he said, no, I don't feel it yet. And so we started playing around with it. It wasn't quite there. And eventually I came back to him and I figured out a detail on finishing the ankle lock, in particular engaging the lat. And I came back and actually got the finish on it and did some adjustments. We could finish a heel hook. But at the time, my adjustments were just slightly off, but it felt like it was there. 99% of the people that I would normally put into that position would have tapped because it would have been there for him, but not him. It's kind of like the time I remember I had this guy who I put into an arm bar and I put him into the arm bar. I had the arm straightened out. And again, 99% of people would have tapped there. The arm was like straight on. He wasn't responding in that way. And so I talked to him and said, hey bro, like, why aren't you tapping yet? He said, oh dude, I've got a little bit more bend in my arm, very flexible. He said, just pull my arm back a little bit. And I kept pulling. And then he tapped out. He said, there it is. And I mean, his arm, if it was my arm, it would have been busted off, broken. But for him, he just had a lot more play in his arm. Another situation I had with heel hooks was one of their guys at the gym, Evan, good black belt, good at leg locks, better than me. And I remember we're engaging in leg lock entanglement, and I put him in a heel hook, and I get it sunk in, and it feels like it should be there. And then I'm applying pressure, he doesn't tap, and we eventually scramble out of it. And I asked him, I said, hey man, why didn't you tap out to that leg lock? It felt like it was there. And he was like, oh, because of this. And he was showing me this little detail that he used to defend it. And I said, oh, okay. And so I don't know if you're following me here, but what I'm trying to get you to think about is tune in or check in with your training partners. It's one of the simplest things you can do, right? This is one way that I developed my arm triangle choke because, you know, I remember years ago applying the arm triangle choke, squeezing. It's not quite there. Loosen up a little bit. Hey, is it not there yet? Why aren't you tapping out yet? Whatever. Oh, because I can breathe here, because my arm's here. It lets me know what I'm doing wrong there. And so with your situation, here's a couple ideas to chew on. Number one, talk to your training partners. If you get them in that sunken heel hook and you have all the pressure, everything is locked into the best of your knowledge. If they're not tapping, ask them why. And they may give you an idea like Evan, like, oh, it's not quite there. Or maybe they've got a little play in their joints in the position you're in, like Hayden did with me. Or, you know, maybe you just don't have it sunk in right and you think you do, but you don't, kind of like my arm triangle choke. And they can kind of give you some adjustments and you can sharpen things up. You should be doing this with all your submissions. If they're unsuccessful and you're applying them to the best of your ability and they're unsuccessful, you should be figuring out, well, what did I do wrong? Now, if the person, you know, is basically grunting and whatever else and it's sunk in and your coach is like, no, that's locked in. If they really are not tapping and they should be tapping, different situation. Then you go talk to your coach and say, hey dude, like every time I put this submission on, the guy doesn't tap out. I had a situation with this years ago. I was a bit younger and so maybe it was a little bit more brash, but it was an MMA fighter, right? And I was fighting MMA at the time too. And I remember rolling, I put him in an arm bar and I'm applying pressure slowly to the arm and he's, you know, pushing and shoving and trying to get out of the position and I'm holding the arm and there isn't much give left in the arm. And I said, bro, are you going to tap? And he says, I don't tap. I don't tap to arm bars. I don't tap to submissions. Well, that's stupid. Okay. So I don't want to break the guy's arm like you don't. It doesn't feel good to hurt someone, right? Especially not in the training room. So I used the arm bar, took his back, put him in a choke. He didn't tap. He went to sleep, woke him back up. Hey man, tap next time, and I stop rolling with them. I don't roll with people that don't tap. It's stupid. It's like playing a game of chess, right? And you're moving your pieces, you get checkmate, and then they just keep moving their pieces. It's stupid. So I don't want to play that game with people. Now, at my gym, we don't have that. That just doesn't happen. And so for you as a student, if someone's doing that, you definitely want to check in with your coach. But assume, first off, that maybe they have a reason as to why they're not tapping. Or assume that maybe you're doing something wrong. But if it is, in fact, everything's done right, talk to your coach to deal with the situation. And I would probably avoid rolling with the person. Because like you said, I don't want to hurt someone. I don't want them to be injured from the situation. And I don't want to be a part of that environment where all of a sudden we're ripping submissions on each other and everybody's getting hurt. And it's just not a fun environment to be a part of. So anyway, hopefully that helps you, brother. Thank you for the question. Talk to you guys next time.